Hello, hello, hello. It is me, your Tru Heel Phenom SP3, and we are back once again with another year-end list. This time, we are counting down Tru Heel Heat's top 10 best men's wrestlers of 2025. And for this one, I am riding solo. No co-hosts on this one. Don't need one because we need to talk about the best men's wrestlers of the past 12 months. 2025 was quite the year in professional wrestling when it comes to the male performers, whether it be in WWE, AEW, TNA, AAA, CMLL, New Japan Pro Wrestling. The list goes on and on. It was quite the great year, full of memorable moments, exceptional matches, great promo work and character work up and down in every promotion. And we have a great representation of that with our top 10 list of the best male wrestlers of 2025. This is our list that we comprise every single year, whether it be with the women's wrestlers of the year, the best matches of the year, the best moments of the year. Y'all know the deal, and we are here to count it down with each and every one of you. But of course, before we do that, before we get into the list, we appreciate y'all if you're joining us for the premiere of this video. We appreciate y'all if you're watching this as you celebrate New Year's Day. Happy New Year's to each and every one of you watching. And we appreciate y'all if you're a subscriber. If you're not already, we also appreciate you for just clicking on this video and checking out our list of the best men's wrestlers of 2025. It's been a great year here for Tru Heel Heat in the year of 2025, but we expect it to be even better in 2026. So if you want to jump on board, if you want to be a part of the movement that we're doing here with Tru Heel Heat and the consistent content that we do every single day here on the Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified for all the great content here. We appreciate y'all and show that back. The simplest way possible is by just dropping the thumbs up on this video. You can also share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, and family on all your favorite social media platforms. And if you're watching us live on the premiere, you could sound off in the live chat. Let us know what you thought were the best men's wrestlers of 2025. And most of all, if you're watching on demand, this is our list that we comprise with our team here at Tru Heel Heat, as well as friends of the channel. Several different special guests that we've had on the channel throughout 2025 were able to give their list of the best men's wrestlers as well. But this is our list that we comprised here. Let us know what your list. This is our opinion. This is not the opinion. Like what you like. Just don't be a dick in the comments down below and let us know what you thought about the year that was and the best men's wrestler of the past 12 months. Before we get into the list, I always like to let you know how we comprise our list. We go to each and every member of our team here on the Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel, as well as friends of the channel, folks like Sat Niangi, shout outs to him. Jeremy Lambert, shout outs to him, shout outs to Lyric Wrestling, shout outs to all the guests that we've had on Tru Heel Heat throughout the past 12 months. It's been a great year featuring so many great people across the wrestling media and social media landscape that are fans of professional wrestling, just like us here at Tru Heel Heat. And we got each and every one of them their top 5 best men's wrestlers of the year. They give us their top 5, and then we give the points directly because of their top 5. So whoever got first place to them gets 5. Whoever got second place gets 4 points. Third place gets 3 points. Fourth place gets 2 points. And the fifth place gets 1 point. And the overall points is how we make our list, how we rank everybody based on the points that they were divvied up, depending on how many votes they got, how many first place votes they got. And we will let you know how much points altogether each and every person that made our list got, how many votes they got, and how many first place votes they got here. But like I said before, let us know in the comments down below who you thought was the best men's wrestler of 2025. honorable mention to start things off. Our one honorable mention that we got here, we got to go with Swerve Strickland, who got a lot of votes. Swerve Strickland got actually more votes than our number 10 on our list. He got 4 votes overall, but only accumulated 8 points. So he is on our honorable mentions list. A couple of other folks that got some shouts in votes: Mike Santana from TNA, who arguably was the TNA Wrestler of the Year. He got a vote as well. Obafemi, the NXT champion, he got a vote. Dominic Mysterio got himself a vote, and Hiroki Goto got 3 points, 3 points overall. He got a couple of votes. Seth Rollins got himself a couple of votes as well. Hiroshi Tanahashi, Jey Uso, couple of other people who got some votes, but or one honorable mention, Swerve Strickland just missing out on our top 10 here. But without further ado, let's get in to the top 10. And just like our Women's Wrestler of the Year video that you could check out right now, right here if you want. But just like that one, we have our first tie ever that we've done on our top 10 best men's wrestlers of the year videos. Our tie at 10th place, just like the women had a tie at 10th place, and coming in at number 10 on our list, with both of these individuals getting 10 points overall. I will let you know the voting. The voting came down to 1 vote difference between the two men, but they still got the same amount of points. So we had to make them both on the list. And it is a tie from the two men that headlined WrestleMania 41 and SummerSlam, John Cena and Cody Rhodes. Both men getting 10 points overall. John Cena coming in with 2 votes overall on 2 first place votes. So that gets him into our top 10. And Cody Rhodes had 10 points overall on 3 votes overall. We'll first start with the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes is, of course, the reigning undisputed WWE champion. He came into this year as the WWE champion, finishing off his tremendous feud with Kevin Owens in what was a great ladder match at the Royal Rumble. Of course, he was the victim of the John Cena heel turn at Elimination Chamber after he told off The Rock and turned down his offer to sell his soul. He got beat down by The Rock, John Cena, and Travis Scott at Elimination Chamber, which set the course for the main event of WrestleMania 41, where he lost the WWE Championship to John Cena, but that did not deter him. Cody went on to win the King of the Ring tournament in June, and then parlayed that into a victory against John Cena in one of the best WWE matches of the year at SummerSlam. That street fight that headline night 2 of SummerSlam at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, an epic encounter. So many great moments, whether it's Cena with the Cody Vader, with Cody on his back, with the AA on the ramp, whether it's the multiple AAs that Cody were able to kick out of and multiple crossroads that he had to hit to pick up the win. He would then get embroiled in a rivalry with Drew McIntyre that has last pretty much the duration of 2025, but he had great encounters with Seth Rollins at Crown Jewel. He had that great matchup with Drew McIntyre on Saturday night's main event. Cody Rhodes has been the top babyface of WWE, and it's for a good reason. He's still one of the most popular stars in all of professional wrestling today and worthy of being on our top 10 list, but he has to share that honor with the man that we saw retire this year, John Cena. John Cena got 2 top votes, 2 first place votes from the individuals that voted on him, getting him into our top 10 here. Of course, like we mentioned before, John Cena won the Elimination Chamber in March and went on to give us one of the biggest moments of the entire year when he turned heel and aligned with The Rock and Travis Scott. And of course, that set in motion his heel run this year, turning heel for the first time in 20 years, one of the biggest heel turns of all time, and then went on to become a record-breaking 17-time world champion by defeating Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. From there, he would go into rivalries against some of his all-time great rivals like Randy Orton, CM Punk, before dropping back the WWE Championship to Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam in a 5-star instant classic. He went on to have other instant classics throughout the year with a great match in Paris against Logan Paul. He would get squashed by Brock Lesnar at WrestlePalooza, but he did not let that deter him. He went on to have an epic encounter, an instant classic with AJ Styles in Australia at Imperf at Crown Jewel with that great moment where he bust out his sister Abigail and got the Fireflies to come out in tribute to Bray Wyatt. Cena just put on great match after great match, whether it's against Dominic Mysterio, where he won the Intercontinental Championship for the first time in his career in front of a hometown crowd in Boston, Massachusetts, then dropping the title back to Dom with Liv Morgan's help at Survivor Series, and then he ended off his career in another exceptional matchup going against Gunther, tapping out with a smile on his face on Saturday night's main event. And what a last couple of months Cena had in his retirement tour, really kind of trying to wash away all the bad stuff that went down with his heel turn, and he really did well to do it. There's simply no denying that John Cena really worked his ass off in the last couple of months. He knew that the heel run that he went on did not put his retirement tour in a really good state, and he was able to turn that around and had some of the greatest matches of his entire career with Cody Rhodes, with AJ Styles, the Logan Paul matchup, the Gunther matchup. Just time in, time out, he just kept delivering and really tried to turn around what was a horribly booked heel run that really kind of stalled and stilted his retirement run, but a great end to 2025 for the 17-time, never seen 17 John Cena, who went out like a champion. Coming in at number 9 on our list. Now, this one is interesting. Number 9, 8, 7, and 6 all have the same amount of points here. So we had to divvy this up in a way that we could kind of position everybody. So coming in at number 9 with 14 points overall, he had the least amount of votes compared to the other people that are just above him. But with 14 points overall on 4 votes overall, it is CMLL's light heavyweight champion, Mistico. And boy, oh boy, I've been saying this a few times on Tru Heel Heat and other platforms I've been on. And back in 2007, unquestionably, the 2 top draws in professional wrestling were John Cena in North America and Mistico in Mexico. Flash forward 18 years later in 2025, the biggest draws in professional wrestling are once again John Cena and Mistico. And what a year from Mistico, who has really been the driving force behind CMLL's revitalization, the resurrection of CMLL, who in my eyes were the promotion of the year. When it comes to in-ring quality, when it comes to these red hot crowds selling out Arena Mexico, the cathedral of Lucha Libre, and really becoming the god of Lucha Libre this year. Some of these entrances with his theme song have been amazing, whether it's at Grand Slam Mexico on TBS with AEW when he faced MJF for the first time, whether it's every Friday night when he's having these spectacular trios matches with El Sky Team, Masquerada Dorada, and Neon, whether it's Mistico with defying the odds and going through 19 other men in the Grand Prix to become the 2025 CMLL Grand Prix champion. But most of all, I think that the thing that we will remember the most from Mistico in 2025 was his amazing rivalry and climactic matchup with MJF. Mass versus championship at the biggest show of the year for CMLL, the 92nd anniversary in September. MJF and Mistico put on one of the greatest matches you will ever see in Arena Mexico, with a red hot crowd that lived and died on everything that Mistico did. Mistico is just has the Mexican fans in the palm of his hand and can dictate how they're feeling, whether they're sad that he's lost and he's been beaten down, whether they're happy because he's rallied from behind and hit La Mystica and made one of the villains, the Rhodes, tap out. But just the fire and the passion that he showed in this matchup here, particularly, and MJF's great heel performance. This is one of the best matches of the entire year, and Mistico has been one of the biggest stars, the biggest draw in Mexico. The reason why CMLL has sold over 1 million tickets, you can hang it on the hat of how big of a star Mistico really is in the country of Mexico. What a year for Mistico after all this time, and the run that he had as Sin Cara. A lot of people don't survive that or come back from that, but he was able to. And not only able to, he was able to excel in 2025. 18 years after being the top draw back in 2007, he was able to do it again in 2025. It's been an amazing year for Mistico. But that puts him at number 9. Coming in at number 8 on our list, also with 14 points, but had 1 vote more. 5 votes overall, including 1 first place vote. We have the reigning World Heavyweight Champion on Monday Night Raw, CM Punk. CM Punk had a great year where he was finally able to reach the mountaintop in several different ways in WWE. He came back to WWE in 2023, and he came into this year, and it really felt like he was going to have a huge year. He's finally healthy and good to go, and he came into this year fired up, in the middle, embroiled in his rivalry with Seth Rollins. They had that great match on the Raw on Netflix premiere. They would go on to beef with each other in the Royal Rumble and in the Elimination Chamber, which were both great matches in their own right as well. This set the stage for a steel cage matchup, which was one of the best TV matches of the year from Monday Night Raw in Madison Square Garden. Roman Reigns would get involved in that, and that set the stage for the night 1 main event of WrestleMania 41. That is right. After all this time, after a run that was mild and had the one big asterisk of CM Punk never headlining a WrestleMania event, he was finally able to check that off of his bucket list with Paul Heyman in his corner. CM Punk walked out in the main event of WrestleMania 41. Paul Heyman would turn on him and Roman Reigns, leading to Seth Rollins winning, but that only drove the rivalry between CM Punk and Seth Rollins that really was the driving force on Monday Night Raw for several months, for most of this year. Punk would reach a new milestone in his career when he finally won a world championship back in WWE at SummerSlam in an epic encounter with Gunther. Excellent matchup that those two men have, where CM Punk defeated the Ring General for the World Heavyweight Championship and then delivered one of the most memorable moments of the year for WWE as Seth Rollins pulled off the ruse of the century, cashing in on Punk, winning the World Championship. The two men would be involved in a 4-way Clash at Paris that led to Becky Lynch costing Punk that matchup and aligning with her husband, Seth Rollins, and that opened the door for probably the most fulfilling part of CM Punk's year, where he got to open the door for his wife, AJ Lee, to walk back into WWE after nearly a decade and team up with her husband for the first time in an epic mixed tag team matchup at WrestlePalooza, one of the main draws of the first WWE Premium Live event on ESPN. And so many great promos and moments from Punk, whether it's him and Becky Lynch's interaction, him and AJ's return, which he was a big part of, him in the War Games and his interactions with Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes, all the build up to WrestleMania with Paul Heyman in the middle of Roman, Punk, and Seth. He was at the focal point of WWE throughout the entire year, and especially over on Monday Night Raw on Netflix. He was the driving force. He was the top star, and he won back the World Heavyweight Championship in November against Jey Uso, and he's held it, and he's closing out the year still the World Heavyweight Champion. And we'll see if 2026 will be as successful for CM Punk as 2025 was. Coming in at number 7 on our list, Also with 14 points, but this was another case of just one vote more giving him the edge. He had 6 votes overall, including one first place vote. We have Bandito. Bandito might be one of the biggest breakout stars of 2025, where he comes back from injury in January. He immediately gets embroiled in the feud with Chris Jericho, eventually beating Jericho for the ROH World Championship at AEW Dynasty. And then he just becomes a consistent part of AEW, Ring of Honor, and then would even sprinkle in some appearances in Arena Mexico for CMLL. But Bandito is here on this list because, in my eyes, he was the best in-ring performer of the entire year. His matches with Chris Jericho were way better than Chris Jericho matches should be in the year of our Lord 2025. But becoming Ring of Honor World Champion opened the door for one of the greatest Ring of Honor World Title matches that I have ever seen. And I'm someone that's been watching Ring of Honor since the early to mid 2000s. But the Ring of Honor World Championship matchup with Konosuke Takeshita in Arlington, Texas, as Supercard of Honor is absolutely incredible. Just high speed, high energy action, balls to the wall. Both men just telling a great story, with Takeshita going more into his heel tendencies, ripping at the mask, busting open Bandito, and Bandito showing that fighting spirit, that fire, and fighting back and making a comeback to get the win against one of the most toughest challenge of his entire reign as Ring of Honor World Champion. And this really started a rivalry with the Don Callis family that would continue for the rest of the year for Bandito. But Bandito also makes this list because not only did he excel on his own in singles competition as the Ring of Honor World Champion, with also another 5-star matchup when he headed over to Mexico for CMLL and had one of the greatest high-flying spectacles you will ever see against Masquerada Dorada. Just two guys who are just so great, just so flawless in their high-flying lucha libre styles, but Bandito mixes in the power as well, which made him the perfect partner in tag team action for Brody King. And we got one of the best tag teams, the Tru Heel Heat, voted on by you at the 9th annual Heaties as the tag team of the year. Brodito took the AEW tag team division by storm, coming together in the summer and becoming this just unstoppable force that went through the number one contenders tournament, would go on to defeat FTR and the Hurt Syndicate at Forbidden Door to become the AEW World Tag Team Champions. And they put on so many sensational tag team matches, whether it's on AEW television against Proto Shida, whether it's on pay-per-view against FTR, against Kazuchika Okada and Konosuke Takeshita at Wrestle Dream in one of the best tag team matches of the entire year, against the Young Bucks in the tournament to determine the number one contenders. Brodito were so hot, so great. Them combined with FTR and the Young Bucks felt like they brought tag team wrestling back to the forefront of All Elite Wrestling. And it just felt like every single week I was up on the Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel on an episode of AE Ramble talking about how Bandito had the match of the night, whether it was in 4-way, whether it was in singles competition, tag team competition with Brody King. He had an epic 5-star matchup with Hechicero at Death Before Dishonor in Philadelphia. He had that spectacular survival of the fittest final battle. It just doesn't matter who the opponent was, what the circumstances were, whether he's facing Hechicero in Arena Mexico or facing him in Philadelphia. He brought the goods every single time out. Bandito, in my eyes, the best in-ring wrestler of 2025 and well deserving of being on our list here. Unfortunately, he just missed out on the number 6 spot, because coming in at number 6 on our list, also with 14 points overall, but had one more vote than Bandito and 2 more votes than CM Punk and 3 more votes than Mistico at number 9, coming in at number 6 with 14 points on 7 votes overall, including 1 first place vote. It is the former TNT champion, the Protostar, Kyle Fletcher. And I say his full name. Kyle Fletcher came into this year embroiled in his rivalry with his former mentor and friend, Will Ospreay. And those two men blew off their rivalry in style. First with the awesome tag team matchup at Grand Slam Australia, where Fletcher teamed with Takeshita against Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay, and then the steel cage epic encounter, one of the greatest steel cage matches in AEW history, where these two guys just went balls to the wall, blood was shed, they had barbed wire bats, thumbtacks. Kyle Fletcher took a Styles Clash where his dick went into thumbtacks. Just want to let everybody know that. The finish of the match with him saying, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, before Will Ospreay took his head off with a hidden blade. But that was just the start of what would be the breakout year for Kyle Fletcher. This included him winning the TNT Championship in a 5-star classic in Chicago against Dustin Rhodes in July, but he didn't rest on his laurels. He went on to defend that title against Hiromu Takahashi in a great matchup at Forbidden Door, and then he found himself thrust into the main event scene out of nowhere. He would become the challenger for Hangman Adam Page at All Out in a bona fide match of the year candidate, an outstanding encounter where these two men just went at it for over 35 minutes, proving that Kyle Fletcher is not only the future of AEW, he might just be the present, and he might just become an AEW world champion sooner than we all think. His epic TNT title run would not end before he tied the record for most title defenses as TNT champion and pretty much gave us the best TNT title reign in 2 years. The TNT title went down a bad road, but it felt like Fletcher was the first champion that made the belt matter and elevated himself by wearing the title. That title reign would end in the conclusion of one of his great rivalries of the year with Mark Briscoe. After several bangers that they had together, they put on a tremendous matchup, and I was live for it in Newark at AEW Full Gear, a no disqualification match where Mark Briscoe picked up the victory. And then Kyle Fletcher put the cherry on top of his year when he gave us one of the best months of December that any professional wrestler has given us inside the square circle. Kyle Fletcher was, in my eyes, the undisputed MVP of the Continental Classic, with great matches against Jack Perry and Kevin the Jet Knight and Pac in Manchester. But the two matches that will stand up above all and will be talked about for years to come is his 5-star instant classic with Speedball Mike Bailey at AEW Dynamite Winter is Coming in the block format, but he would make it to the semifinals where he put on just as good of a matchup in a fantastic encounter with Jon Moxley at AEW World's End. It didn't matter who the opponent was, what type of matchup it was. Kyle Fletcher proved himself to be a wrestling machine who can do any type of style against any type of opponent, and his intensity, his hard-hitting style, he just brought it on another level and really was one of the most improved wrestlers in the ring, but the breakout star of 2025 as voted on by you at the 9th Annual Heaties, and multiple different outlets like us as Sports Illustrated voted for him as the breakout star. So Kyle Fletcher, well-deserving, number 6 on our list for the best men's wrestlers of 2025. But then we enter the top 5. It is time to talk about the top 5, and we got coming in at number 5 with 17 points overall on 6 votes overall. It is that in general, Gunther. Gunther came into this year as the World Heavyweight Champion. He would start off his year with a great matchup against Jey Uso on Saturday night's main event before Jey Uso would win the Royal Rumble matchup and they would get embroiled in a more long-form story. And I thought that Gunther was the one who really turned it around, where he started off a little bit slow, but that scene where Gunther bloodied Jimmy Uso in front of a handcuffed Jey Uso in London, England, I was live for that. That's one of the best angles that not a lot of people will talk about about from the year that was for WWE. Gunther would lose the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania to Jey Uso, but he would then win it back from Jey just 52 days later on WWE Monday Night Raw, where he won the title, won the gold. But of course, he would go on to retire Bill Goldberg on Saturday night's main event, and then parlayed that into one of his best matches of the year against CM Punk at SummerSlam, where these two men had an awesome matchup, going back and forth, tooth and nail, giving us a real kind of standard WWE matchup that had the ebbs and flows and had the people inside New Jersey, inside the MetLife Stadium on the edge of their seat, with CM Punk becoming the new World Heavyweight Champion. Gunther would take a couple of months off, and then he came back for the last time is now tournament, which he would go on to win after consistent banger after banger after banger, putting over Javon Evans in Madison Square Garden but in defeat for Javon, of course, because Gunther washed through him. Then he put on a great rallying underdog babyface versus this unstoppable giant matchup against Carmelo Hayes. Delivered the greatest Solo Sikoa match of all time in a straight up hoss fight with the big man. And then delivered a great matchup with LA Knight to win the finals of the Last Time Is Now tournament and punched his ticket to verse John Cena in his retirement match. And what did he do there? He gave John Cena one of his best matches of his entire career at Saturday night's main event to end off the legendary career of John Cena, making him tap out with a smile on his face with the sleeper. So much great storytelling in that matchup. A superb bout in John Cena's final matchup. He gets the claim of retiring both John Cena and Goldberg in one calendar year, 2 reigns as World Heavyweight Champion. No doubt in my mind, when it comes to WWE, the best men's wrestler of the year, with a bullet by a country mile, in my opinion, was the Ring General, Gunther. He even had a good match. He even had a decent match with Pat McAfee. Shouldn't have faced him, but still had a decent match. Gunther, well deserving of starting off our top 5 here at number 5. Coming in at number 4 with 19 points overall on 8 votes overall, we have the former 4-time AEW World Champion, Jon Moxley. Moxley, of course, came into this year as AEW World Champion as the leader of the Death Riders, and I'll admit it, I was one of the people who was not liking the start of this year from Jon Moxley. He was embroiled in a rivalry with Adam Copeland, Cope and Mox, one of the worst rivalries of the year, especially for AEW, that culminated in the main event matchup at AEW Revolution that everybody panned and said shouldn't have headlined that show. He would go on to have a better match with Cope on television on AEW Dynamite, where he took a spike to the goddamn back. Then he had a good matchup with Swerve Strickland with a bad ending when the Young Bucks came out to help him at Dynasty in Philadelphia. But his whole year really turned around when he started his feud with Samoa Joe and the Ops. This had the great trios matchup where the Ops won the trios championships in Boston at Spring Breakthrough. Then he had the great matchup inside of a steel cage with Joe at Beach Break with the help of Gabe Kidd. And then he had another great performance in the Anarchy in the Arena, one of the best matches of the year with the bodies hitting the floor, Jon Moxley being the leader of the Death Riders, the glue of that matchup there. And then, of course, everyone will talk about for years to come, Jon Moxley's all-time great performance as a heel, as the monster heel, being overcome by Hangman Adam Page at All In Texas, tapping out with a chain wrapped around his neck over the rope, the panic, the sense of urgency, the crowd on the edge of their seat, the crowd on their feet, anxiously wanting the Cowboy to win, and Jon Moxley tapping out, and the relief and the pop from the crowd. That is a moment that will never be forgotten ever again. And this started a road that we thought was the downfall of Jon Moxley, but it really became the redemption of Jon Moxley. We would see Moxley say "I quit" to Darby Allin at Wrestle Dream. in that terrific I Quit matchup and that headline that show with Sting's return, and they pulled out the aquarium with the water where he tried to make Darby Allin drown. Moxley had a great program with Kyle O'Reilly that led up to the blood and guts matchup where Kyle O'Reilly tapped him out with the ankle lock. Then it went on to a no holds barred matchup live in Newark. I was there as I watched Jon Moxley and Kyle O'Reilly put on an excellent matchup where Moxley tapped out again, but he said that didn't really matter. He said it wasn't the playoffs. He said he would step up to the plate in the playoffs, and we saw in the Continental Classic one of the great stories of the year, which really became the redemption of the leader of the Death Riders, where Jon Moxley overcame his own problems, overcame the leg injury that was established in his rivalry with Kyle O'Reilly to go on to win the Continental Classic tournament in epic fashion with a 5-star instant classic, like mentioned earlier, against Kyle Fletcher, and then put on a great underdog babyface performance against Kazuchika Okada with the Chicago crowd rallying behind him as he won the Continental Classic and ended Okada's 647-day reign as Continental Champion, and did it with the crowd fully behind him. The man that suffocated Bryan Danielson in the same building with a plastic bag became the hero of the C2. This is one of the greatest turnaround years you will ever see in the sport of professional wrestling, where Jon Moxley started off as, in my eyes, objectively, the worst thing about AEW was Jon Moxley and the Death Riders at the start of 2025 to being one of the best things and best stories in the entire world of professional wrestling by the end, with his whole march to the win in the Continental Classic. Jon Moxley's 2025 is something to be documented and be remembered for years to come. Coming in at number 3 on our list with just 2 points more than Moxley at number 4, 21 points overall on 6 votes, including 2 first place votes. We got Will Ospreay, the winner of our Wrestler of the Year last year in 2024. He was voted on by us as the Wrestler of the Year, and this year he comes in at number 3 on just probably like 3/4 of the year that he worked. Ospreay came into this year, like we said earlier, embroiled in his rivalry with Kyle Fletcher, which led to that amazing steel cage matchup at Revolution where he picked up the win after a crazy looking Spanish fly off the top of the cage. He had that epic tag team matchup that we mentioned against Proto Sheeta with Kenny Omega at Grand Slam Australia, and then he inserted himself into the Owen Hart Foundation tournament, looking to be the man that would save AEW and save the AEW World Championship. That led to the best TV match of the year in my eyes against Konosuke Takeshita as Spring Breakthrough in the semifinals, and then set the course for one of the very best matches of the year, bar none. And in my eyes, probably a top 10 AEW main event at AEW Double or Nothing, where him and Hangman Adam Page fought tooth and nail for 38 minutes, going back and forth. The stakes were high, and you did not know who was going to win. The unpredictability of this matchup just makes it in rarefied air and very special, because no one knew for sure who was going to win this one, and these guys went back and forth. The styles clash off the apron, the hard-hitting strikes, the back and forth nature of the matchup, the callbacks to their former rivals with Hangman busting out big pressure. Freaking at one point, Ospreay tried to hit a one-wing angel, and shout out to Kenny Omega, but in the end it was Hangman who pulled out the victory with the buckshot lariat. But instead of getting mad and being spiteful, Will Ospreay was the glue to bringing Hangman Adam Page and his arch nemesis Swerve Strickland together to get the job done at All In, where he also put on one of the greatest tag team matches in AEW history, and in my eyes, the best tag team match of 2025 with the Young Bucks at All In Texas. Him and Swerve Strickland coming together, 2 exceptional single stars who made for a magnificent tag team here as they beat one of the greatest tag teams of all time at All In Texas, really almost stealing the show from the epic main event that would happen later on. But whether it's singles competition, whether it's the main event, a steel cage, grudge match, or it's just any type of style, any type of matchup, Will Ospreay always excels, and he excelled throughout 2025. You got to mention the lights out steel cage matchup at Forbidden Door. That was great as well. His final matchup before he went off and got neck surgery. We are hoping that Will Ospreay is back very, very soon in the new year in 2026 because we need more Will Ospreay in our life, and he is well deserving. Number 3 on our list of the best men's wrestlers of 2025. All right, guys, we're hitting the nitty gritty now. You ready? We got the top 2 best men's wrestlers of the year coming in at number 2. We're getting a steep jump up here to number 2 with 32 points overall on 11 votes, including 1 first place vote. We have the reigning IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, Konosuke Takeshita. And I've been saying it for months. I always said Will Ospreay is the best wrestler in the world. And then Jimmy Macaram was the first one who said, I think that Konosuke Takeshita is the best wrestler in the world. And it was after that G1 last year and then the start of this year where I kind of said, yeah, you know what? You're right. Takeshita has taken the crown. And he just came into this year and stepped up even more than last year in 2024. Came into this year as AEW International Champion. We've mentioned a few times that great tag team matchup at Grand Slam Australia with him and Kyle Fletcher versus Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay. But he put on a 5-star matchup against Kenny Omega one-on-one where he lost the International Championship at Revolution. But then he entered himself into the Owen Hart Foundation tournament, had a exceptional TV matchup with Brody King. That was balls to the wall, straight up banger. Then he put on one of the best TV matches of the year, in my eyes, the best TV match of the year at Spring Breakthrough in Boston against Will Ospreay. All the while, he was also killing it over in Japan. He won the Never Overweight Championship at Wrestle Kingdom on January 4th, then put on a absolute barn burner with Tomohiro Ishii at Wrestle Dynasty. He had great matches with Boltin Oleg, anyone he faced. El Phantasmo, we had a great series of matches with early in the year before dropping the title to Boltin Oleg at Dominion. And then he went into the G1 Climax and not only exceeded expectations by making it to the finals, but beat Evil to win the G1 Climax tournament, becoming the first AEW contracted talent to do so, but did not rest on his laurels. He could have waited to the Tokyo Dome to win the title. He said, nah, bump that. I'm taking it at King of Pro Wrestling, where he put on a match of the year candidate, an incredible contest against Zack Sabre Jr., meshing their styles so well. The technical in-ring mastery of Zack Sabre Jr. versus this strong style intensity that is Konosuke Takeshita with the hard strikes, the world-class forearm, the power drive knee, the raging fire, and Zack Sabre Jr. could not overcome that as Takeshita was able to win the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, becoming the second AEW contracted talent to do that behind Jon Moxley a few years back, and he's held it down. He put on another straight up banger against Hiroki Goto at Final Homecoming. Back in AEW, he's put on one of the best storylines of the year with his interpersonal, interstable friction with Kazuchika Okada that saw the two team up and go at it with one another. They teamed up for one of the best tag team matches of the year against Brodito at Wrestle Dynasty. They were finally able to face each other in the Continental Classic, and this was after a tournament that included one of my favorite TV matches of the year against Jon Moxley in the tournament, the Blue League on AEW Collision in Texas. He did that, and then he had a great matchup with Okada at World's End, with Okada overcoming him to win in the semifinals and make it to the finals. But Takeshita and Okada will go at it again, but we got to mention one of the best matches of the year with Bandito at Supercard of Honor. Takeshita, it didn't matter if it was in Japan, whether it was in Texas with Bandito, whether it was the G1 Climax tournament where he had bangers with Shingo Takagi and El Phantasmo and Gabe Kidd and Zack Sabre Jr. there. David Finlay, he had a crazy matchup in Kurgan Hall with. It didn't matter if it was New Japan, if it was DDT, if it was AEW, if it was in Mexico, if it was in Japan, if it was in any part of the United States, Konosuke Takeshita proved night in, night out, he is one of the best wrestlers in the world and might just be pound for pound the best wrestler in the world today. Takeshita would be well deserving of being number one on our list, but he comes in at number 2. Without further ado, it is time for number 1 on our list. And this might be one of the biggest point differentials that we've ever had in a top 5 ever. Because Konosuke Takeshita had 32 points overall. The number 1 on our list, 59 points overall, coming in with 13 votes, 8 of them being first place votes. 59 points overall. The winner and number 1 on our list for the best men's wrestler of 2025. No surprise here. It is Hangman Adam Page, the winner of the 2025 Heaties Award for the best men's wrestler of the year, the winner of the Sports Illustrated Awards best men's wrestler of the year, the winner of Yahoo's Uncrowned best men's wrestler of the year, and he wins it here. He is number 1 on our list according to our team and our friends of the channel. Hangman Adam Page, number 1 best men's wrestler of the year. Hangman Adam Page 2024 saw him lose his mind and go into a state of madness after burning down the house of Swerve Strickland and destroying him inside of the lights out steel cage. We did not know if we knew the Hangman Adam Page of old anymore, and that this was a new version of himself, a version that was crazed and was feuding with one of his good friends, his mentor, Christopher Daniels. He would retire Daniels in a Texas death match at Maximum Carnage. And that really kind of flipped the switch for him, where he realized how far down he had fallen, how far down in his mind he had just lost. Christopher Daniels retired, and that kind of opened his eyes. Then the rivalry with MJF wanted him to prove not only to be the best and better than MJF, but to prove himself to the fans that really didn't turn against him, the fans that were still cheering for him, still behind him, to the point that MJF questioned the fans for why they cheered Hangman for all the bad stuff that he did against Swerve Strickland. Why are you cheering him over me? He would defeat MJF at Revolution, and then that drive to be better than MJF gave him a drive to want to prove himself to be the best and reclaim the AEW World Championship. That led until the aforementioned AEW Double or Nothing, where he put on a match of the year candidate against Will Ospreay that we mentioned earlier. That was after he put on a straight up banger against Kyle Fletcher on TV in the semifinals. But the program, the promo work, Hangman gave us some of the best promos of the entire year heading into Double or Nothing, and then coming out of Double or Nothing, whether it was that 3-way promo where Will Ospreay tried to be the peacemaker between him and Swerve Strickland, bringing them together to take down Jon Moxley and the Death Riders, whether it's his promo at Arena Mexico, talking about his family and growing up with Mexican workers in his farm and knowing how the people fight and work every single day to make the most of every opportunity that they're given. And he's trying to do the same by going to All In and winning the AEW World Championship. His promo work in challenging Moxley to a Texas death match, and then his performance in that Texas death match that had forks and chains and bed of nails, had an appearance from Darby Allin coming from Mount Everest, Bryan Danielson from Blue Panther. This was the Avengers Endgame of AEW, and one of the greatest payoffs of all time, because not only did it pay off the whole journey of Hangman Adam Page and redeeming himself to the fans, to the company, and to himself, but it also ended the reign of terror of Jon Moxley and the Death Riders, and the moment where Hangman Adam Page pulls out the AEW World Championship from the briefcase jail that it was in for over 10 months by the Death Riders is probably the most satisfying moment of the entire year in pro wrestling. The adulation, the elation of everyone in the building in Arlington, Texas. It's unlike anything that AEW has ever done. And not only that, Hangman not only won the world championship, but he was finally presented as the top guy coming out of that championship win, being positioned to open up the Dynamite after. He beating Moxley again for the AEW World Championship on TV, beating MJF again at Forbidden Door in an excellent matchup. And then he put on more match of the year candidates, like his match against Kyle Fletcher at All Out for over 38 minutes, going hard, going balls to the wall with that young man, and really elevating Fletcher in the eyes of the fans and proving that he is a bona fide main eventer. So he not only elevated himself throughout this year, but he elevated others around him. The rivalry with MJF went through the entire year and is really viewed as the pivot point of AEW's entire year, and how they were able to turn it around, rebuild the fan perception, rebuild the fan love for the product. And really, he was the driving force behind AEW winning promotion of the year from multiple platforms. He was the ace in every single way possible. His rivalry with Samoa Joe had some great moments as well. The great matchup at Wrestle Dream, then dropping the title to Joe in a memorable moment where Hook turned on him inside of the steel cage at Full Gear, ending the year with another main event. He headlined 5 pay-per-views for AEW, and some of these were some of the best matches of the year for AEW. Some of the best moments, some of the best promos, some of the best matches. He is the personification of what happened when AEW finally just went back to basics and went back to the main character of All Elite Wrestling. And he was the main character in all of professional wrestling. Hangman Adam Page, number 1, the best men's wrestler of 2025. And that is our list. We appreciate y'all for joining us, for watching our video where we break down the top 10 best men's wrestlers of 2025. Like I said at the top of the show, this is our list. This is not the list. Let us know in the comments down below who you thought was the best men's wrestler of 2025, and we can continue the conversation there. Did you think that we missed out on someone that should have made the list? Also, let us know that in the comments down below as well. Like this video, it helps us out so much. But most of all, want to thank you so much for supporting us here at Tru Heel Heat. We would not be able to do content like this if not for you.
Happy New Year, people.
Happy New Year from all of us at Tru Heel Heat. Happy New Year from True Harlem Heat. Tell everybody have a great 2026.
Have a great 2026.
It is me, your Tru Heel Phenom, SP3. This has been Tru Heel Heat, top 10 best men's wrestlers of 2025. We are signing off until